guys, welcome to Girls Night with Sam and Kate. Tonight we're talking about car mishaps. So things that have gone wrong with our cars. And Brenton and I are known for being impulsive with buying cars, and so
Really? I didn't
are
know
we?
this.
Back in the day, we've done a lot better. We've
Oh,
had this
okay.
car for maybe I think going on 3 years, and this is like a record for
Really?
having a car this
Wow,
long.
okay.
So
Good to know.
this should be fun. Okay. Do you have one that you thought of?
Yes. Okay, so I have one that was traumatic for me. They're all traumatic, but the first one that came to mind was like the hardest one. So when Kyle was in school, I was pregnant. Like I was showing and
I feel like Kyle in school and you pregnant just go together.
yes, anytime he was in school, I was pregnant. So yeah, I was pregnant with our third.
Okay.
So this is the third pregnancy. And so I have my two toddlers in the back seat, and I'm in our Camry. So Toyota Camry, it's like a 2006. It's a smaller one. It's
Mhm.
been an amazing car. It's been great. And we just sold our RAV4 because we were going to save up for a family car.
Yeah.
And we're like, we can go with just a Camry for a while. It'll be great. And
So you went from 2 to 1
down to
cars.
one car.
Okay.
Yes. Thus starts the one car life.
Okay.
And we were like that until
Just
6 months ago.
recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7 months ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so oh my gosh. So Kyle can walk to school. So I take the car and I was like, great. I go out to his parents' house and I'm coming back and I feel the car do this big lunge just randomly driving. I'm like, oh no. And then it didn't do it ever again. Well,
So it was
it
still
didn't do it.
driving.
Yeah, it was still driving. It
Okay.
just went away. And I was like, okay, like I made it home, no big deal. And then the next day I go to leave because I have to go grocery shopping. And if you've ever lived in Provo, you'll know the spot I'm talking about. But I'm gonna try and be super descriptive because that's why it added so much like stress to me. So in Provo, where we live in the Wymount apartments, and they're right across the street from the MTC. So we have one corner apartments, one corner MTC, the other corner BYU campus. It's like on a corner there, and it's like a really busy part because it's the freshman dorms.
Yeah.
And then the other side is the steak center, laundry facilities, and stuff like that, like in this big parking lot. So it's a super, super busy intersection.
Yeah.
And there's a big light there, and I pull up to the light, and I'm turning right. So I'm going away from the intersection, and it's up a hill. And I turn, and as I'm turning, boom, car's dead.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's not a shoulder. There's 2 lanes and a sidewalk. So of course, there's a million people around me all of a sudden. Thank goodness I'm in Provo where these people are being so nice to me.
Yeah.
So immediately I throw the emergency brake on because I don't want to roll down the hill.
Yeah.
Turn the flashers on, start crying, as one does. And then I got out and I climbed around, or I guess I walked around the car and I got the kids out of their car seats onto the sidewalk because I was worried that someone wasn't going to be paying attention and
Yeah.
rear-end our car. So that was my first instinct, get them out of the car on the sidewalk safe.
Right.
And this little old lady, she was so cute, happened to be on the side of the road, and she goes, I watch your babies. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. I'll sit with them in the shade and make sure they're all right. Because I'm trying to call people, and the car's just sitting here. And then these 2 boys walk by, and they were like, do you need help with your car? And I was like, yes. And then my neighbor walks by, because, we're by these apartments.
Yeah.
And another car stops behind me and puts their flashers on.
Oh, wow.
And he backed up into the intersection with his flashers on and was directing traffic around him so we could push the car back into the parking lot that was kitty corner across.
Was it your parking lot? Your apartment?
No, it was the laundry parking lot because mine was back around a turn.
Uh-huh.
And so these boys are pushing my car and I'm I don't even know how to help. And they're like, you're pregnant, just sit down, it's okay. We don't want you to stress out or do anything to hurt your baby.
Aww.
And I'm like, oh, these boys are so sweet.
Yeah.
And this little old lady's comforting me, and Kyle's not answering. He's in the middle of a lecture. Kyle's dad works at the MTC, and I called him, and he's like, I'll be there in just a minute. I'm finishing up a meeting. So they get the car pushed in there, and then my father-in-law pulls up at the same time.
Oh.
And he was like, wow, you got it taken care of. I was like, well, yeah, kind of, And so we take the kids over, and his dad let us borrow one of their cars for the day, the couple of days it took us to figure things out. But it wasn't the transmission. It was the weirdest thing. It was some left I don't know
Okay.
cars. But it was something that was, like, cheaper than a transmission to
Yeah.
fix, but it was still, like, $2,000.
That's
And we
crazy.
had to tow the car with Kyle's dad's truck to this mechanic, and we're like, well, we have to have him fix it.
Yeah.
And so it's not like we could really shop around, but we found out it was actually really cheap fix. Like, such a blessing.
Right. Cheaper
But
than what a transmission would have been.
yeah, but then we were down to one car because we're using dad's
Yeah.
truck, and then we get the Camry back after it's fixed. What a friggin' debacle that was. Kyle's like riding those scooters you can rent all the time, like to get over to the mechanic and then still be able to get to class on time.
Uh-huh.
And I was just like stranded at home, and so I was like, well, like, hope the car's fixed before my next doctor's appointment,
Oh my gosh.
right?
This was back before Walmart delivery.
Yes, it was. Like, we didn't know what that was. Like, I wasn't paying Instacart prices.
Yeah.
Like, we're on a student budget here.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so.
As you're talking, I'm like, I hope we're not jinxing anything because
gosh.
car problems
Knock on
are
wood.
the worst. Oh my gosh. So my first one that I thought of was when we were so we got scammed hard, and this was the last time we ever bought a car off of Craigslist.
Oh my gosh.
Was that I was pregnant with I think I just had Capri, and so we had two kids now. We're like, oh, let's get a van because we have two kids, right?
Yeah.
And so we got on Craigslist, and we found like a town and country minivan, and we bought it. Well, okay, let me back up. We meet the guy, and he's like, oh, I'm selling it for my friend who's out of the country, right?
Okay.
And we were like, oh, okay. And like we tried negotiating, and then he was like, well, let me call my friend who's out of the country. And then he comes back, he's like, oh, this is the best we can do, whatever. And so we were like, okay, let's buy it. Brenton takes it for a test drive, and then I'm like, okay, like he says it's good, let's buy it. So we take it to the bank, whatever, we buy the car. And then I'm driving it home, and I'm like, Brenton, this thing has a check engine light on it.
Oh,
and
no. He didn't notice the
No!
check engine. Brenton!
Or he was
Brenton!
so excited he didn't like register.
He wanted to be a van family.
He wanted to be a van dad
my
real bad.
gosh.
And so I'm like, okay. And so I'm like driving it home, it's fine, whatever. Then the next week the like transmission starts giving us funny.
Stop.
And we take it to my dad's friend, and he fixes, does a like as much as we could afford on a student budget, like a fix for the transmission and
Oh my gosh.
everything. Like then like the seatbelt thing would like light up even if we were wearing the seatbelt. The airbag light was on all the time. It was a hot mess. We affectionately called it Moby Dick because it was the white whale, and it gave us so many problems. But I will never buy a car off of Craigslist again.
Oh my gosh. When I get laughing, I start coughing. Sorry.
And so I think we ended up selling it to CarMax because CarMax takes any cars. And I am too pure. I mean, I'm not like tooting my own horn, but I feel so bad selling a car that I know something's wrong with it.
To someone else who doesn't know.
To somebody else who doesn't know. So I was like, CarMax, like, this is your problem. Like, you be the liars, right? You have the mechanics.
You be the liars.
So that was oh gosh. Cars are the worst.
Whoa.
Okay, what's another car story?
So, this one's funny. When I first learned how to drive, people always said that I drove too fast and whatever. Like, I was like, no, I don't. I'm fine. And they're like, you're really swerving. I'm like, it's because my car is old and big.
Uh-huh.
And it was.
Because you had like a really
a 1999 Buick LeSabre with
Those are
no
like-
power steering.
Okay, those are like they're boats to drive. They're huge.
Boats. They took up the whole friggin' lane. And the power steering was out. So it's hard to steer. And I was 16. Like, I was not a good driver.
Right.
No one who's 16 is a good driver. If you're 16 and you think you're a good driver, I'm sorry, you're not.
I was a great driver, and I like to tell my parents that they didn't even have to teach me how to drive because I already knew it.
No, you gotta drive for a few years. You need experience. Like the story I'm about to tell you. So, this is a 2-in-1. There's construction on the road driving from my school to my house.
Okay.
And I was driving and singing and having a good time.
Oh, yeah, as you do as a teenager with your independence. Yeah.
And a traffic cone jumped out at me and knocked off my side view mirror.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
I demolished that thing. And it was like, I told everyone it was like out in the road. It was not. I just went right into it.
Those construction workers did not know where to place it.
Well, because you know sometimes like the cones
Yeah.
are like kind of
Out of
in your
line.
lane and it's
Yeah.
like random. No, this one was right in line. It was flat. Like I knocked it over, had a big dent in it, and my mirror. It was so funny because I screamed. I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like what was it?" And I'm like looking in my rearview mirror, and I'm like, "I knocked
was
over
you.
that traffic cone. It was me." And then the side view mirror pops up and hits the window, and I screamed again. I'm like, "Oh crap! My mom's gonna kill me."
Did it break the window?
No, thank goodness.
Okay.
But then what I did was I didn't tell anyone. I just duct taped the mirror back on. But the blinker didn't work on it anymore, right?
Oh
Because
my
I knocked the
gosh.
electrical out in it.
Yeah.
It was so funny. So I went to school, and for like 2 weeks, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't tell anyone. That's so embarrassing. And then like I'm walking out to my car one day, and my friend's out there, and he's like, hey, why do you have duct tape on your mirror? And I was like, it just fell off.
Oh my gosh.
It just fell off.
Yeah, it's an old car.
Yeah.
That's
But
too
then,
funny.
yeah, Swervy driver. I learned really fast how to get it straight because of that. And
Well, that was I mean, I feel like the odds were not in your favor. One, the type of car it was, like
Yeah.
a huge car, and two, no power steering.
yeah. And the other thing too is like it would die all the time in the parking lot. Like the battery was bad, and
Yeah.
I didn't have money to replace it. So I just like always had a friend who had jumper cables, and I was
Yeah.
like, be like, hey, like I need to jump my car. And so one time we did it, and then he was like, sweet, like, we'll switch cars and go to my house. And I was like, okay, I'll drive your nice car, sure. And he went to pull out, and he went to turn it, and he backed into the curb, like where the parking spots were, because he couldn't turn it, because
yeah.
he's just never driven without power steering. And he just backed that thing right into the curb. And I was like, you're gonna pop my tire, like stop.
Did he get out and switch cars?
Oh yeah, he put it in park, and he was like, I don't know what's wrong with your car. And I was like, you don't have muscles. That's what's wrong with
That's
you.
funny.
It was so funny. Anyway.
Huh. That's funny. Okay, I drove. So my sister, my oldest sister, when I started college, sold me her like '04 Honda Civic. Super cute. They gave me a super good deal. I
She
was so
sold it
grateful.
to you?
Yes. Yeah, her and her husband had it, and then I needed a car, and so they gave it to me for like $4,000, something really
Oh, wow,
cheap.
that's nice.
And
A good car for a good
yeah,
price.
it was so cute. But the only thing wrong with it that I remember is like Hondas at that year, because Brenton's mom's had a kind of a similar issue. But if you like hit a button and then you went to start it, like the theft alarm would go off.
Oh my
And you
gosh.
couldn't stop it.
What are you supposed to do?
Well, you had to pull, like when it started, you'd have to pull over, turn the car off, and then turn it back on.
Oh my
And so I just
gosh.
remember driving down the road and it just being like, meep, meep, meep. And like, people might have thought I stole the car. Probably not. They probably just thought I didn't know how to work the car. But
Yeah.
that was fun.
dumb
I
kid,
just remember thinking, like, what in the world? But to go along with that, or do you have another one? Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, so when Brenton and I have two more, and I'm like, I could go down all of our cars because
Hey.
all of them had something wrong with it. And
When you buy so many, you get
yes,
the duds.
and I think it's because
Okay, wait. How many cars have you had? Since you and
since
Brenton have
we've
been married.
okay, we started out, he had a Jeep Compass. We sold that and we got a Toyota Corolla. And then we sold the Toyota Corolla for another Jeep Compass.
Okay.
And then we sold my little Honda Civic. And then
the one from your sister?
Yes.
Okay.
It was me. We have cold feet. Anytime like anything goes wrong with it, we're like, get it out of our hands. We don't know what to do with it. And then so that's 4. And then I think we went to Moby Dick.
Okay.
And then we went to another Dodge Caravan. And then we went to a Tahoe. Loved the Tahoe.
Wow.
And we sold the Tahoe for a Jeep Wrangler that was such a lemon. Like, Brenton wanted a Jeep Wrangler, and he was done with school, and I was like, let's reward him with a Jeep Wrangler.
But you traded in your Tahoe for it?
Yes.
Oh.
And the dealer website was like $8,000 for this Jeep Wrangler. I was like, that's pretty good. It's high in mileage. Like, okay, let's go. We get down there. They're like, oh no, that's not the real price. It's 13.
Oh my gosh.
And we were like, okay, like
You just took the price?
it was terrible of us.
Oh my gosh.
So then we sold that Jeep Wrangler real quick because had the death wobble.
Oh,
So if
yep.
you're driving, and we were driving back from his parents' house after we were so excited to show them, and the car just starts shaking like the first night, and I'm like, what? We're getting rid of this thing because we had our kids in the back, and it feels like you're gonna
Yeah, it's scary.
like either like roll over or the wheel's gonna fall off. So we sold that Jeep Wrangler and we got an Equinox. And the Equinox lasted a hot minute until we got him a really nice truck.
Is
But
that the
then,
one he still has?
no. Then we
Oh,
went,
okay.
then we went travel nursing and sold the truck and the Dodge Caravan for the expedition,
Which you still have.
which we still have.
Okay.
What is that? Number 12? We're on
I think
number
like
12.
13 or something.
Yes, and then we bought his truck, which we still have as well.
Holy, and you guys have been married for 10 years.
Yeah.
You have more cars than years of marriage.
Yeah.
That's wild.
We chicken out, like I said. And so we almost just sold this expedition until I called my brother and he was like, "You're being an idiot. Like,
Do you not remember your past?
But the one that I wanted to share with
Yeah.
Compass is he bought this car when first of all, we were dating at the time, right when he got back from his mission, and he would like send me like, what did I think of these cars? And I was like, I don't know a dang thing about cars, right?
It's pretty.
And so he sent me he was like, what do you think about an FJ Cruiser? And I was like, that sounds so lame. I thought he was talking about a RAV4.
Stop.
And so he didn't get the FJ Cruiser
no.
because I was like, no, don't get that. And so then he got the Jeep Compass in his mind, thinking of when he had kids, it would be the perfect, like,
oh my gosh.
he calls it a SMAV, a soccer mom assault vehicle.
Brenton has the funniest sayings. Oh my gosh.
So he bought that, and it was a great car, except for the fact if you drove it, if it got too hot, it would just shut down.
Oh.
We're living in Arizona.
Yep.
And in the middle of the summer, we would because the temple was 2 hours away, so we'd go on like our temple dates, and we would make it like right at an hour, and then it would just shut down, and then we'd have to pull over on the side of the freeway, let it cool down, and nothing was working like electronically, so we just have to roll down the window, like sweating, waiting for it to
Holy cow.
cool down, and then go. So that was. And we kept that car for a while, but finally we were just like, whew, this is not reliable if we want to travel. So
that is wild.
Anyways, that's our car saga. How many cars have you guys had?
So when we first got married, I had a Mustang.
Oh, really?
Was it
Oh, it was.
Yep. It was an old one. It was a 98. It was one my mom convinced me to buy with student loan money. Don't do that. But it's fine. Like, you live and you learn. And I needed a car, and she didn't want my credit run. Story for another time. Anyway, so I had the Mustang, and Kyle had a Ford Focus, which we called the Barbie car.
Okay. Yeah, those are small.
Yeah. So, like, it was just us. Like, you know.
Oh, I forgot we had a Cruise, too. The Barbie car reminded me of that. A little Chevy Cruise. But yes.
You have so many cars. And then Kyle, let's see, we traded in our 2 cars for a RAV4.
Okay, did you like it?
I loved our RAV4.
Yeah.
Like, it was my favorite car we've ever had. And Kyle doesn't agree with me, and that's fine. But, like,
did he not like that it was too, like, compact?
Well, he's like, it's not, like, a super nice car. It's, like, not one I'd, like, say I loved. Yeah. And I'm like, I loved it. It was the perfect size. It had good gas mileage. It was so reliable because it's a Toyota. And so I'm like, when I'm an old lady, that's my car. I'm like, I'm getting a brand new RAV4. Like, that's, you know, whatever.
My mom just bought a Highlander, and that's what I think of as an old lady car, right? It's just kind of the perfect, anyways.
It's the right size.
Yes.
And then we had the RAV4 for a while, and we bought the Camry right after. And so we, like, got the RAV4 when we were living in our first apartment, and when we moved to our second apartment, I got a job that was across town, and so we needed a second car.
Yeah.
And my credit had built up enough over the last year that Kyle was able to co-sign on a car loan with me, so I could get approved for exactly, no more, no less, a $5,000 car.
Wow.
And that was the Toyota Camry.
Okay.
And so, like, we got a really great deal.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, it's $6,500, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, well, we can only do $5,000, so we're out.
Was that at a car lot?
Yeah, it was, I don't remember what it's called, but they usually sell branded titles, but this one wasn't.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it was like someone traded it in for a bigger branded title.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't, but it was a good deal because people don't go there looking for just normal cars, right? Like, they want a bigger car, a nicer car for cheaper.
For cheap, yeah.
And so we left, and they ran outside, and they're like, okay, we'll give it to you for $5,000. And we're like, cool, yeah, let's do it. I need it.
Yeah.
And so then we had the Camry, and then after the Camry, we got a Ford Explorer.
Love.
Yep, that was our first, like, family car. And we had sold the RAV4 to save up for it, and we went for the Camry, just the Camry, and, like, I just told that story. And then we got the Explorer a little sooner than we were
Well, your kids are
expecting
so
to.
close together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so when we found out I was pregnant with Riley, we're like, time's ticking. Like, we got to
Yeah.
get a bigger car. And then after the Explorer, it was a branded title, but it got hit in the back, so we didn't think
Okay.
it was a big deal. But there was like this rubber piece on the front right tire that kept popping off, like on the thing that connects them, like the axle.
Yeah.
And so it would drive funny. It kind of had this like, I don't know, thunk, 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 thunk when you drive fast.
Right.
And so we fixed it a bunch of times, and finally Kyle was like, I'm sick of this. Like, this is dumb. And I was like, well, let's get a van.
Yeah.
And so we had the Explorer for, I would say, a little less than a year because we got rid of it before. Gosh, when did we get the van? We got the van when we were still living at the apartments, but I was pregnant with Avery. So it'd been like a year.
Is this the one you still have?
And
Okay.
it's the one we still have.
Yeah.
We sold the Camry shortly after we got the van.
And went to one car.
And just went to one car because I was at that point now home with the kids. I wasn't working anymore.
Yeah.
So we didn't see the need to have a second car when Kyle could walk to school. We're trying to save money.
Right.
But we needed a nice car. And the van is also a branded title, but again, hit in the back. And so, like, it was just like, I don't know. It's been amazing. Like, we've had no issues with this van. And then just last summer, we got a Ford Expedition, but it's an older one, and it's Kyle's work car. It's his favorite thing in the world.
Does he love it?
He loves it. It's like his dream car from when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
And it was cheaper than a truck, but it's like a truck without the bed.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that's so fun.
That's it. So,
I mean, that's it.
6,
Yeah.
7.
Some people are smarter about cars than others. But
it's hard to
that's okay.
When you're doing like a couple, like you have to cut the number in half, right? Because you have to have 2 cars a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I make this excuse, but you had just as many kids. But I was like, our family grew so rapidly that it was like, okay, we done with this car. But I mean, I guess not because we had vans in the mix.
That's so funny. I mean, we probably would have stuck with the Explorer if it didn't have issues, or if we would have got a van the first time, we could have cut that one out completely. But like we didn't know. So anyway. Cars are a blessing and a curse, right? Honestly, the second a light pops on, I'm like, instant stress.
Yeah.
Anxiety. Dollar signs.
Dollar signs. That's what goes through my mind. But
they're so expensive.
Yeah. I know. We're like, why isn't Brenton a mechanic? It would have saved us a lot of...
Right? Kyle's dad,
everything.
He has this little computer that you can plug into a car to read the codes.
See, yeah.
It saved us so much money.
But then what? You got to fix the codes.
Right, but like then we know what it is, so you don't have to take it to pay for diagnostic and then have them tell you, oh, you also need these other things done. It's like, no, I don't. So, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Kyle's able to figure most stuff out, like, by himself. Like, he can YouTube video it. Like, we had a piston. I think it's a piston. I don't know cars, guys. Anyway, something in the engine block actually to be replaced.
Yeah.
The heads of the pistons.
Okay.
I don't know. If you're a car person, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kyle replaced them all by himself.
Okay.
In our van. And, like, it's supposed to be, it would have cost us, like, $4,000. He just ordered the parts. And it was, like, ended up being, I want to say, like, $600.
Okay.
And he just did it himself, so.
Yeah.
And he did it in, like, 2 days.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
That's so fun. Okay. Well, if you have any car stories.
Yes.
Please send them to us. We can read them because we all have them. If you're saying you don't, wait a little bit.
You better knock on wood. You're going to have one. Yeah.
All right. See you guys next time.
Bye.